father who died. It just makes me feel awful. Because her dad's never coming back. Alright. Court is now back in session for the trial of Gina Lestrade. Lord Van Zeeks, were you able to summon the witness? We were able to issue a subpoena to the telecommunications office. Unfortunately, due to the rain, his coach will be arriving late. Very well. During the recess, Inspector Gregson told me the details about the night of the crime. Overlooking this third bullet was a fatal blunder indeed. My deepest apologies, my lord. Now, regarding the evidence gained through the defence's use of forensic chemicals. Unfortunately, it is inadmissible as evidence due to the lack of clear scientific basis. Drat, this won't be the last they hear of me and Holmesy. My lord, the witness summoned by the court has just arrived. Very good. Bring him in at once. Egg Benedict. I don't think we'd see him in court of all places. So what's his actual name? I know, his initials are RC, aren't they? Or is it RG? I can't remember. The court appreciates your prompt arrival despite our short notice. But of course, it is only natural for an upstanding London citizen such as myself. Now then, please state your name and occupation for the court. Is that Trogray. I work as a technician at a telegraph office. The two of us work in the heart of London as telegraphists responsible for the city area. So for what reason have I been called here today? I believe you should have been briefed on the situation by an officer during the ride here. Yes, that's correct. I heard this has something to do, or this has to do with some murder in a Baker Street pawn shop. Something about me sneaking into the shop on the night of the incident? Quite right, that is the defense's accusation. Don't make me laugh. Seriously? Now, witness, the court demands your honest testimony. Testify about this accusation towards you. Oh god, really? Very well. It would be my pleasure. Okay. So, about the accusation. Even a man like me will deign to visit a pawn shop once in a while. You claim that I broke into that pawn shop with these miscreants on the night of the murder. I don't see how you can expect me not to laugh at such a false allegation. And you even claimed that my blood was present at the crime scene. But shady forensic chemicals made by a shady detective can hardly be called evidence. Pardon me. Then, of course, you assert that you have nothing to do with the crime. Got the bloody hiccups. I'm honestly shocked and appalled. It's amazing how a detective's silly little toy has the power to bring the Crown Court to its knees. It is the way of the court to respect the will of its jury. Funny you should mention that, as that lot up there is nothing but a band of disappointments. Watch your mouth. So, how long must I play along with this farce? You'll be free to leave soon. If you can prove that you have nothing to do with the crime, that is. Is that all? Then it looks like I'll be able to make it back in time for afternoon tea. Now, defense, begin your cross-examination. We meet again, Mr. Egg Benedict. What was your real name again? Rupert, I'm just gonna call him Crogray. Pardon me, I don't think we've met. Oh, but we have. Arinosuke Naruhodo, attorney at law. I introduced myself to you once before. Rupert Crogray, pleased to make your acquaintance. In any case. Whoa. Let's get this over with quickly, shall we? What a show-off. Okay, I have his hat. I wonder, is Ryu going to be wearing it? That'd be great. Even a man like me will deign to visit a pawn shop once in a while. Oh, we're not wearing it. Mr. Crogray, we met around midday on the day of the crime, did we not? Though you seem to have been using a fake name at the time. Egg Benedict. What kind of... The witness is currently giving testimony on the night of the crime. At this point, there is no reason for him to answer any other questions. Fine. Seriously? Thank you. I have no desire to answer meaningless questions. He's trying to avoid saying anything that might leave him open to an attack. This guy is already getting on my nerves. Okay. You claim that I broke into that pawn shop with these miscreants on the night of the murder? I am indeed. Are you saying you don't know these two men? These fools standing next to me? Perish the thought. I don't keep company with riffraff, you see. I don't trust him. But apart from that, I have a question. Who was it that dared to make such an absurd indictment against me? It was the attorney over there. How ridiculous. This great empire allowing a Japanese to stand in her courts, what a foolish mistake. Anyway. This guy seems to think he's a JoJo character. I don't see how you can expect me not to laugh at such a false allegation. Where were you at 1 AM on the night of the crime? I was asleep. Who knows, most nights I'm asleep long before then. But what I can tell you is that I certainly wasn't hanging around with these two. Can you prove that? No, he can't. Japanese boy, you seem to be misunderstanding something. What would that be? The witness claims that he was not present at the scene of the crime, but he is under no obligation to prove that he has an alibi. If you think that he was at the crime scene, prove it. We already have. The burden of proof falls upon you, since you are trying to challenge the witness. Okay, so the blood that's smeared on the wall. Instead of badgering the witnesses with useless questions, back up your own claims. Oh my god. I don't think interpretive dance is accepted language in the courtroom. Ba-da-da. And you even claimed that my blood was present at the crime scene. Well yeah, because it was. There's no doubt that traces of blood were found at the crime scene. We found them thanks to chemicals developed by the Sherlock Holmes. Oh? You think I'm the only man in the world with blood running through his veins? How do you know that the blood you found belongs to me? Because it's the same blood that's on the music disc. It could easily have come from one of these two, no? Everyone's blood has a slight different makeup. Mr. Holmes' special chemical react with... Oh, okay. Ridiculous. Who is this Holmes character you keep prattling on about? He's the great detective. Everyone in London knows him. A great detective... Don't you find that phrase just a little embarrassing? You've been reading too many fairy tales if you dreamed up a character like that. Who was that? Oh, it was you. Gregson! Excuse me, Inspector Gregson? Inspector Gregson. I really don't have time for this, you know. Huh? I need to go back to the yard. Who knows what has happened in my absence? You talking about that emergency situation you mentioned yesterday? That's a top secret assignment. I can't divulge any information on the matter. Okay. Perhaps don't start shouting about it in the middle of a courtroom then. Anyway, hurry up and end this silly trial. I'm quite ready to leave. Oh, it wasn't him that made the noise, was it? No, he didn't have the speech bubble. Fuck, it was one of these two. Damn it. I made a cock-up. I thought it was him for some reason. But no, he made like a... Where he actually says something. Wait. Who is this Holmes character you keep prattling on about? Oh, it's him! Oh. Whoops. My bad. I questioned the wrong person! Excuse me, Mr. Tinpillar. It's gonna be both of them. Yeah, what? Not you, the other one. Oh, sorry. I meant the other Mr. Tinpillar. How many times do I have to say it? I am not— oh my god. I'm not Wally. Yes, I know. Just provide his bloody name. Nemi Tinpillar. Hey, you what? You what? You what? Just now you were gazing at Mr. Krogre, as if you were deep in thought. May I ask you why? No. You got it wrong, it wasn't me, I swear. It was, this block here. What? Let me answer the question, please. Why were you looking at Krogre? What came to mind? Oh, when you were looking at Krogre, what came to mind? No, I mean it. I wasn't thinking nothing. I swear on my dead mum. I weren't thinking nothing like, don't swing that cane around or you'll open your wound again. Wound? Well, yeah, I mean, he was only shot in the arm 2 days ago, you know? So I was just a little concerned, right? Oh! I was an idiot. Mr. Krogre, did you hear what you just said? Ah! And if I did? It looks like your good friend here was concerned for your health. More specifically, he's worried about the wound on your arm. My lord. Yes? I have no idea what these two men are talking about. I believe that I should not be forced to testify about anything unrelated to me. 2 nights ago, someone was shot and injured at the crime scene. From the height at which the bullet was found, it's likely that the victim was shot in the arm. Where is this wound of yours, Mr. Krogre? Mr. Krogre, let's take a look at your arm. Show us what you're hiding on your left arm. I refuse. Without any decisive evidence to connect me with these two hoodlums over there, I'm under no obligation to submit such a demand. That just makes him more guilty. Sheesh. In the first place, I do not. I do not even have a connection to the victim's pawn shop, let alone this trial. Not true. You have no right to make such insinuations against my character. You claim that you're completely unrelated to the victim's pawn shop. My lord, please have Mr. Krogre add that statement to his testimony. Very well. Let's continue with the cross-examination. Do you have any objections, witness? In any case, I'm completely unrelated to the victim's pawn shop. You're completely unrelated. But you were there on the day of the crime. As I said, even a man like me will occasionally grace a pawn shop with my presence. In fact, I'm searching for a new armchair for my study at this very moment. But on that day, you were trying to redeem a pledge. I'm afraid I don't know what you're talking about. Ah, that's his sound. Excuse me, Inspector Gregson. What do you want? Anna. You were at Hatch's pawnbrokers at the same time as Mr. Krogre, weren't you? I suppose I do remember meeting you that day. Both you and your fair lady assistant, and the defendant was there too. Do you remember the pledge that the witness was trying to recover? Hold it right there. I'm afraid my memory of it is rather shaky. What? You can't be serious. As such, I'm sorry to say that it would be inappropriate for me to testify on the matter. What's going on here? Isn't he the one that showed us that photograph? Remember, he submitted the photo taken by Holmes's camera. Oh, you're right. Indeed, the man in this photograph could very well be the current witness. No, it definitely is. As this photograph reveals, this witness has definitely visited Hatch's pawnbrokers. I never denied that, now have I? I went in for a browse and then I had a quick chat with the owner. But that's all. What is he doing? I can understand why Kroger would try to deny the fracas with the disc. But why is Inspector Gregson trying to avoid the subject too? I get the feeling he doesn't... He did point out the music disc. Like, it shouldn't be in the evidence. That testimony doesn't give me much to work with. What do you think, Ryu? It looks like he's trying his hardest to give us as little information as possible. The less he talks, the fewer angles of attack I'll have available. Oh, he's like the opposite of Holmesy. He talks so much that he leaves himself wide open. Well, we did manage to get some new info. It's all thanks to those two losers. Yeah, we really did. Is he completely unrelated to the pawn shop? I doubt it. For now, make sure to take a good look at the court record. Right, even the most insignificant looking information could lead us to a breakthrough. Alright, take me to Statement 5. Completely unrelated to the pawn shop. Are you really? What about if I show you this? Are you still completely unrelated? Do you happen to recognize this disc? Why would I? This disc was being held at Hatch's pawn shop until the day of the murder. The defendant, Gina, moved to redeem the item. But all of a sudden, a man jumped in and tried to steal the item from her. As you know, Mr. Grogray, that man was you. How many times must I say this until you listen? That man was not me. I've never even seen a disc like that before. There's a bloodstain on this disc, however small it may be. At first glance, it appears to be a thumbprint. You can see numerous metal pins on the face of this disc. When the criminal tried to steal the disc, he cut his thumb. Since the criminal left blood on this disc, that obviously means that there should be a cut on his thumb. Oh, of course. Mr. Kroger? You may have refused to let us see your arm, but how about we just take a quick peek at the tip of your thumb? I'd wager that we'll see a certain little cut on it. Well, it appears I may have underestimated you. What? Haha. So you admit it then? You admit that you have a cut on your thumb because you tried to steal the disc. Order. Order in the court. What do you have to say, witness? I think there's a slight misunderstanding going on here. To say that I tried to steal the disc is not at all accurate, and I'm tired of hearing it. What's that supposed to mean? That disc was mine to begin with, after all. Do you all seriously have a problem with me redeeming my own pledge? Hmm? Well, well. It seems this piece of evidence will explain the connection between this man and the murder. Testify again. This time, tell us more about this disc. As you wish, I suppose. Though it's clear that this disc has nothing to do with the murder case, in my opinion. Are you sure, though? About the disc. To Magundal. May be written on that disc, but I can verify that it is mine. On that day, the defendant pilfered my pledge ticket from me. I made great haste to the shop in hopes of reclaiming my item before her, but... the disc found its way into the police's hands either way. In other words, I had no reason to sneak into that shop. Hold on a moment. Would this Magundal be the man who was put on trial 2 months ago? The one who mysteriously died shortly after I declared him not guilty? The very same. Yes, that is the one. What? Then, Mr. Kroger, does this mean that you were acquainted with Mr. Magundal? Yes, my lord, I was. Order. I have to say, I wasn't quite expecting Mr. McGundle's name to pop up here again. According to Gina, McGundle gave her this disc. On the night of McGundle's crime, he told her to place this disc to Hatch's pawnbrokers. But that Krogre guy says it's his. That's a clear indicator that his testimony is full of lies. He went to the pawn shop to steal McGundle's possessions. For some reason. Now defense, begin your cross-examination. Understood. About the disc. To McGundle may be written on that disc, but I can verify that it is mine. Prove it. But it has his name on it, how can you claim it as yours? You can probably tell, but being a telegraphist earns you quite the salary. Certainly you are dressed rather well. Normally a wealthy man has no need for pawn shops. But as it happens... Oh god. I once left my wallet at home by accident. With no other recourse, I placed a high-quality brown coat at a pawn shop. Was this your coat? Well, of course. I can't pledge someone else's item, but what I had completely forgotten was that I had left that disc inside the coat pocket. Care to explain why the disc says to McGundle? I was going to give it to him. Collecting rare music box discs happens to be a hobby of mine. I met Mr. McGundle at one of London's social clubs. To my surprise, he was also quite the fan of music boxes. Bullshit. So this was a sample disc before the final version was published. I had planned to let Mr. McGundle have a listen to it, but alas. You accidentally left it in your coat pocket when you pledged it. Precisely. Jean Bean didn't testify about any of that last time, did she? She didn't. McGundle coerced her into silence. If I badger Krogre too much about this, he might expose Jean as perjury. Oh, this is getting far too complicated. I should leave this subject alone for now. True. On that day, the defendant pilfered my pledge ticket from me. Gina stole your pledge ticket? Indeed. You can never hold your valuables too close when walking in these streets. But Gina didn't do that. You would say that, but she is a pickpocket, and a frequent offender at that. On the day of the crime, you had acquired information on Gina. Then you went to Hatch's pawnbrokers in search of her. You did all of this to seize McGundle's disc. I object to the defense's baseless nonsense. No nonsense? Objection sustained. Defense, this is a formal warning against baseless slander, do you understand? Yes, my lord. Then allow me to continue with this pointless testimony. Fine. I made great haste to the shop in hopes of reclaiming my item before her, but I was too late. Was this your first time visiting Hatch's pawnbrokers? It was my first time making a pledge, but I do rather enjoy window shopping. You chased after the pickpocket when you realised she had stolen your ticket. Exactly. It took me a moment to realise, however. Then I rushed to the shop before she ended up withdrawing my coat. In the end, I wanted nothing more than the return of my own belongings. Ugh, I can't do anything about his lies when I have no evidence. That coat wasn't brown, it was black. The disc found its way into the police's hands either way. It was confiscated by Inspector Gregson, correct? Yes, I believe that was his name. I was told that all items related to Mr. Gundle were being seized as evidence. Oh. Okay. Excuse me, Inspector Gregson. What do you want? Did something come to mind when you were listening to Mr. Crogray's testimony? No, not really. Nothing at all. Let me ask another question then. Why was the yard after Cosima Gundul's belongings? You expect me to be able to share that information? It's confidential. Is this one of your top secret investigations, Inspector Gregson? Yes, sir. Surely you understand. 2 months ago, Cosima Gundul met his untimely demise. He was a prominent figure in London, but he could not escape the dark rumours about him. Lord Van Zeeks, where are you going with this? Are the police trying to cover up all the crimes he was involved in? Please, say no more. There are times when inspectors are assigned duties that must be carried out in secret. Then you're implying that this was a direct order from the Lord Chief Justice, Hart Vortex. I wonder why he seems to have so much faith in you. In any case, if you want more information from me, you'll have to get permission from Lord Vortex first. What in the world? I knew he was fishy. It's like there's something big going on between the prosecutor and the inspector. I suppose we have no right to demand more information from Inspector Gregson. Witness, return to your testimony. Thank you, my lord. In other words, I had no reason to sneak into that shop. Really? What about to get the small box that he missed? If that was his pledge ticket. Ugh. This disc was brought to the pawn shop under McGundle's orders. Then you tried to retrieve his pledge. Except the inspector confiscated that disc before he could take it for himself. With that truth established, there was no reason for him to break into the pawn shop. Wrong. That's not completely true. What? McGundle pledged another item at the same pawn shop. This second pledge ticket proves it. Ooh. McGundle pledged 2 items to Hatch. You broke in to try and steal the second one. And you did it together with your 2 partners in crime. A second pledge ticket. Then what else was it that he deposited? The receipt only says a small box. Well, that's awfully vague. You mean to say that I brought these 2 idiots just to break in and steal a tiny box? I believe it's possible, yes. Utter nonsense. Why would I ever do that? Once the contract expires, the pledge's item is unredeemed and placed on the shop floor. All I would have to do is purchase it. I wouldn't have any good reason to steal it. That is true. You make a very good argument. So does that mean there was some reason this guy needed the box on that specific night? My lord, I want to make something clear to the court. And what would that be, Lord Van Zeeks? Unfortunately for the defense, the truth is perfectly clear. No small box was stolen from the victim's pawn shop. We have evidence that says as much. What? Really? Inspector Gregson, submit the photographs. Sir, understood. Is it 2 pictures of the storeroom? Photographs. These pictures were taken by the camera that the Great Detective set up. Oh. Holmes's camera? As we previously indicated on the sketch, there were, 2 of these cameras installed in the victim's shop. One camera was set to capture Hatch and any customer standing at the shop counter. The other was set to capture the shelves, where the unredeemed pledges lie. According to this pledge ticket, The redemption period for McGundle's box ended on the 13th of April at 9 PM. This was 2 days before the crime was committed. The moment the deadline passed, that box would have been placed on the shelves. And then 2 hours before the murder, at 11 PM on April 15th, this picture was taken. My, these shelves are positively bursting with unredeemed rubbish. Here's another photograph. This is from after the incident at 2 AM.